Backlink strategies haven't changed much since I first learned about SEO in 2021, but today in 2024, I'm doing things really differently. Now, last year, the HCU update in September really changed the way that bloggers needed to start looking at their blogs, where Google basically said, stop focusing on SEO above your audience. And it's something that I kind of noticed with backlinks as well. So since then, I've been experimenting with a few different ways to do backlinks, and I have finally settled on a strategy that I think is the best one. So stick with me in this video. I'm going to share exactly what I'm doing now to get backlinks to my blogs, and we'll talk about if DA even still matters, and really what the purpose of all of this is for SEO if you don't know. Hey, I'm Nina Clapperton. If you don't know me, I'm the founder of She Knows SEO. I'm a multi-six-figure travel blogger, and I freaking love sharing all of my tips with y'all. Now, you can also get to know me a bit better by joining my email list. I have a freebie for you in the description of this video. It is my content audit checklist that will help you update your content so you can have the best SEO wins possible. I used to prioritize guest posting and collab posts and even link swaps to grow my DA, and I thought that was really the best strategy. And at the time it was, but now it doesn't really work the same way. Number one, Google is getting mad at link swaps more and more, so we don't want to do any unnatural link swapping. We don't want to do any unnatural collab posting. You might get included in some and that's fine, but I wouldn't seek them out anymore. And guest posting, we need to treat really differently than we used to. So let's start with strategy number one, guest posting. I still believe in guest posting, but in a very different way. It used to be that you would guest post on a site with a high DA, just that way you could get the link juice. It didn't matter what traffic they got. It kind of didn't matter if they were the most relevant to your site. Hopefully you were getting some that were more relevant than others, but typically you kind of didn't care. You basically looked at the Moz DA spam score and then went, okay, I hope it's fine, and then went from there. And the problem there is that it really was all about gaming SEO. There wasn't really a focus there on attracting your ideal audience. There wasn't a focus there at all of actually making sure that you were doing proper PR. And that's really the key to my new method of guest posting. Rather than go ahead and look for blogs with a high DA that might be in my niche but might not be, what I actually want to do now is prioritize blogs that are going to get me clicks. So it's not about the link juice, it's actually about the direct result you're going to get. We're treating this a lot more like a traditional PR strategy where we're trying to get people onto our website kind of organically. And we don't care if those people are coming from Pinterest to that website, from Facebook pages, from Google. It used to be that we were really just focused on SEO. Now, what I do is I use a tool called SimilarWeb. I just have the free plan. I've only had to upgrade when I did my big Journey by Mediavine analysis of all the sites on there. You can find that on She Knows SEO if you're interested in seeing all those cool stats for that ad network. With the free plan, all you need to do is log into SimilarWeb and then put in the domain of whatever the site is. It's going to estimate the traffic of that website to give you an idea of if they're actually getting any organic visitors. And again, when I say organic, I mean from anywhere. Like any tool, it's going to misreport traffic, so I do recommend about once a month putting your own site in there, just that way you can get an idea of how off the estimate is for the traffic. Now, there's no perfect number. I would roughly estimate for a brand new site, someone with about 10,000 page views is fine. If you're closer to the 30,000 or above page view metric, maybe 30,000 page views. But ultimately, the goal here is really not about specific numbers. It's all about connecting with your ideal audience. So if you know that person is a diehard community, you go for it. That brings us to method 2, which is also a little bit about community. This is all about guesting on podcasts. Now, I also think podcasts are probably the second best way to grow an email list after your own organic Facebook group. I've been on so many podcasts. I do probably 2 a month at this point because I freaking love them. And they have the added benefit of also getting you a backlink. So you're getting some organic PR there where you're getting in front of your ideal audience, you're connecting with a community. Podcasts are inherently a very intimate platform because it's a voice in somebody's ear. It's also just you and the host or hosts typically. So it's not a bunch of people that you're fighting against, kind of like you would in a collab post. When you're a guest on podcasts, they typically link back to your homepage and maybe even a freebie of yours, which you really should be hosting on a page on your website, not on some like random just like ConvertKit form link. Now you might be saying, Nina, but that's not really gonna get me a link to a specific post. And typically you're right. It is hard to get those links to actually go to one individual post. Back in 2021, I actually shared my strategy for this on the Niche Pursuits podcast, and it's stayed the same ever since, which is kind of cool. Basically, my strategy is move that link juice through my website myself. And that all comes from internal linking. Now, I use a tool called Link Whisper, which is owned by the founder of Niche Pursuits. That was not the reason I went on that podcast. It's not the reason I'm talking about both now. But that tool really helps me automate my internal linking through my site. So basically you want to take that page that is getting the backlink juice and then you distribute that through your site. I always use the idea of like, there was this TikTok challenge kind of closer to the pandemic where someone would sit like at the front of a row of people with a giant bucket of water and they dump it behind them. And then the next person would try to catch as much of it as they can. But every time the container got smaller and smaller because it's gonna get diluted as it moves through. And that's just the way I approach link juice. Side note, link juice is a disgusting term. So if anyone has any better ideas for a term I can use, please put that in the comments because I hate saying it, but I don't know what else to call it. This next method isn't exactly new, but I do think it needs to be done in a different way than it used to be. And that is getting reputable news source links. So it used to be that we would all use something called Haro, Help a Reporter Out. They were bought by Connectively and then became more of a pay-to-play system, mostly to get rid of AI spam. However, there's lots of other options out there. The founder of Haro actually made a new one called Hero, H-E-R-O, and then I think they might have changed the name again because the emails I'm getting from it have changed. You'll also find stuff like Quoted, and actually Chris from Linkify, who I bought some links from before because they do a lot of PR news links, which are so good. He walks you through exactly the ways that you can find these great news sources yourself for free. That's going to be in a video on my channel that I'll put a picture here so you guys know to go look for it. But you don't even need to go anywhere all that special to find these requests. I actually just got quoted in Ahrefs' blog, and that's because I was on Twitter. There are so many cool hashtags you can use, like journo request or hashtag PR request. They've also worked on threads for me, even like journalists of threads. Journalists are constantly putting out calls because they need expert sources for their stories. They're often even looking for someone to do a full featured story on. I regularly find these because I am chronically online and share it with my profitable part-time blogger community whenever I come across a cool one. I actually just had a student featured in Business Insider based on one that I sent her. Another method is actually to DM the journalists and offer them your story. Tori Dunlap of Her First 100K did this, and like, she's never paid for PR. That's on her website. She makes that very clear, and she's been featured everywhere. It really kicked her off with her business to help tell people like, hey, I'm a millionaire at 26. And the way that she got those stories out was that she contacted the businesses herself. Full disclosure, I haven't taken this course, I'm not an affiliate, but she does have a mini course on it that is very affordable. I don't remember the exact amount, but it's under $50, so you may want to check that out on herfirst100k.com. And the last part of my strategy is attracting more organic links. Now, what does that mean? Because I know SEOs have said this for a long time, and it always sounds like, ooh, we're gonna attract organic links, like some sort of like manifestation. This is active. This is definitely active work that you're gonna have to do, but it is very much about not going to the journalists. It's about doing stuff that brings the journalists to you. I've done this in a few ways. So the easiest way I would say is to have blog posts that rank #1. I know I said it was easy. It's not the easiest thing in the world. I don't mean it that way, but I do mean that you're already doing that and attempting to get things ranking #1. So it's not really like an extra effort that you're having to do. The other way, unfortunately, kind of, is doing either hardcore data analysis or being very present on social media. I was featured in a few places because I did a big deep dive into the Google algorithm leak, which I did not expect to blow up the way it did. That article alone made me like $1,000 in 2 weeks. If you want to know more about that, I do have a blog post on She Knows SEO of exactly how I write trending articles like that. But I've also had a lot of success by sharing things very publicly on different social platforms. And I'm not good at social media. I do not have big followings. I don't have 100,000 people. I don't even have 10,000 people anywhere. Like, I am a nano influencer, if that. But I am loud about my success. I am loud about my experiences. And also, this is a pro tip, I'm really helpful. And because I'm so helpful to my audience, they actually put me up for things. So they recommend me for podcasts. They recommend me to journalists that they've otherwise worked with, which is so great. You can also accomplish something decently similar by networking. Networking and getting in front of people is so valuable. I have loved going to in-person events. I went to TBEX in Puerto Rico and had the best time. I'm going back to Alaska and to Quebec City for them next year. I've also found some local different events near me that I'm gonna go to with some local blogger friends, because first of all, you want local friends, but also then you can connect with journalists in your region. If you can join any local media associations as well, that's a really strong way to connect with travel journalists and travel media who can write about you. Now, in my Get Paid to Travel course that I did with Jamie Savage of adventureawaits.ca, we actually talk a lot about this, because when you work directly with a tourism board, they often link to you. Same when you work with a brand, and that's something that gets you a lot of high value backlinks. So how do we actually build this into a strategy then? Because I did say this is my backlink strategy, not just the ways that I'm gonna get it. Now, it's a little bit more spray and pray than it used to be with guest posts, where I used to have a formula that was do 8 collab posts a month and 2 guest posts, and then once every 6 months do 12 guest posts, and then maybe do 2 link swaps. It was very formulaic. Google doesn't like formulas anymore. With this new strategy, it's really more about being open to opportunities. So when they show up, be ready to take them. It also means incorporating these ideas into your content strategy, into your social promotions. If you hate doing social media, don't worry, there are many automations you can use that'll auto-publish. I actually have an article I wrote about using it with Zapier and Make.com. I've been using the Make.com one more lately. Zapier's been a bit glitchy, but that's really something that can help you automate that social process for yourself, so you kind of don't have to deal with it. I would roughly say pick 1 day a month, or even half a day, when you're really gonna start focusing on this outreach. Do some manual outreach to podcasts. Now, to help you find some of those opportunities and get okay pitching, I'm gonna share with you some of my favorite Facebook groups to find podcasts looking for guests. It is always easiest to pitch someone that is actively asking you to pitch them, to help you kind of get ready to start pitching podcasts. We also had a guest expert on in the Profitable Part-Time Blogger that taught us all about how to pitch podcasts ethically, helpfully, and so that you actually probably get invited back again. So once you've pitched, I would also make sure that when you're writing your social strategy, for me that's usually another day that I'm kind of batching all my socials, I'm really thinking about if this is representing me the right way. I might even try to tag some of these journalists or go and actively respond to them once in a while, because when you interact with someone's account on socials, they're gonna see more of what you're doing. If that sounds a little bit too spray and pray to you and you really want to kind of hand it off a bit more, I do recommend using Linkify. I got some amazing links to She Knows SEO with them, and She Knows SEO has crushed it through all of these Google updates. They have really high quality links, which yes, are more expensive because they are so specific, and they really make sure that it's relevant to your audience, your niche. I've actually gotten a lot of clicks from those links, which is really cool, on top of the amazing DA95 links that they got me. And I would say if you're gonna do that, you can probably build it into your strategy maybe twice a year, let's say, to get started, and then use those to attract other offers as well and other opportunities for backlinks. And that kind of leads me into my next point about, does DA matter? I think yes, a little bit, but not nearly as much as it used to. DA really is this made-up metric to kind of approximate how much Google thinks a site knows about something. It's an approximation of the authority of that site. However, it was often based around the age of the site as well. And the problem is, as we all know from some of our kind of crazier grandparents or relatives, age does not always mean wisdom, right? So while I still would look at DA to make sure that, okay, the site has some authority, it'd be very surprising if they had 50,000 page views a month and they have a DA of 1, if any of that's organic. But it's no longer about DA first to me. Again, it's about audience first. DA is just an extra bonus signal, but what I'm finding is that it's not making the same dent that it used to. And in fact, with most of these updates, a lot of sites have seen a big shift down in their DA. And that's because Google has demoted some of these sites that were linking to it. So it's kind of like, okay, someone that was vouching for you, it turned out they're kind of a terrible person. So now their word doesn't mean as much. And that's really the problem with DA, is that it can shift so much. And a lot of high DA sites ultimately tend to become link farms. I actually in December did a test of this on my old travel blog, and I ruined that site. I publicly talked about this at the time. Not only did I index things to kind of play with Google's algorithm a bit, bad idea, but I also bought some links that were kind of from a link farm, and it trashed the site in December. Was it me self-sabotaging? Probably, because I didn't really want to work on that site anymore. But I think it also proves an important point that the quality of the links, and that site, matters more than just the DA, even before we had the 2024 updates. So that's my new backlink strategy. Essentially, it's all about getting your name out there, more traditional PR, more about connecting with the audience. Again, audience first, and then really treating kind of the link juice or backlink element like it's a secondary benefit to the thing. It's really about getting people on your site. If it raises your DA, fine, but that's not the ultimate goal. It's more about people knowing, like, hey, that's Nina. She knows SEO. And a DA of 90 is not going to build a diehard community that's going to support you, that's going to come back to your site time and time again. Sure, it might get you some immediate traffic, but I am all about the long-term solutions, baby. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm gonna put up another video on screen of my interview with Chris of Linkify. You'll learn a lot about getting journalist links. You'll also learn how to craft a pitch, which I would use even if you're pitching on social media as well. And as promised, I'll put up that QR code where you can get the list of my favorite Facebook groups where you can find podcast guest opportunities. I'll even throw in a few extras that I think are great for bundles and summits, because all of them can grow your email list too. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next Thursday. Have a great week. Bye.